Turn away now. You know you should. Too late, it's time for terror at Collinwood. Hello, 'tis I, Penny Dreadful, transforming into Danielle, and welcome to the show. I have returned from the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend, and I wish it was still going on. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful, beautiful event it was. Bittersweet, sad, happy, fun, joyful. I mean, so much fun. I just had such a great time hanging out with everyone there. So many great friends, new friends and old friends alike. I had so many great times at the hotel, at the Marriott Burbank. So many great times off-site, at Malibu, Venice Beach, Beverly Hills. Oh my goodness, it was just such a great time. I saw so many friends, so many good times. My goodness, I wish it could just keep on going. And just a beautiful tribute to Lara Parker on the Friday night. Just beautiful memories shared by cast and fans alike. And beautiful memories also on the Saturday of Jonathan Frid, and just a great time, great get-together, Q&A panels with the actors, reading by David Selby that brought me to tears, and so much. I mean, there's so much to unpack. And what I did was walk around and interview about 20 people while I was there, and just grabbed some snippets for you just to give you some insights into how it was and some of the favorite things that took place there and hopes for the future. I do apologize for starting each one of these interviews with, I am standing here with, I think I said that at least 19 out of the 20 times, maybe all 20 times. But anyway, I'm not going to waste any more time here. I'm going to just jump right on into it. But I do have to say, I really, really had a wonderful time. Thank you to all the organizers behind this, Jim Pearson, Mary O'Leary, and everybody else who helped out at the event, who spoke at the event, the actors who appeared at the event. It was really cool, and some really fun surprises too. My goodness, it's hard to believe it's over. I'm still buzzing from this, and everything that happened off-site too, get-togethers that took place even through Monday. Even it was just really cool to hang out with so many great people. I think that was my favorite thing, was just hanging out with everybody, talking to everybody, and just crossing paths in the lobby, and then we just strike up a conversation, or just in a hallway strike up a conversation, or everybody's sitting around somewhere and just sit down and join in. It was just such a welcoming family reunion. That was the big takeaway. Everybody kept saying that, and it's true. And I think Ansel Farage always says, the Dark Shadows cast, crew, and fans are like the Collins family. It's like one big family, and it's true. It just totally has that feeling to it, and I had such a wonderful time. So let's get to it. Here at the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend. It is Saturday afternoon, and we just experienced a wonderful series of events, Q&A panel with the actors, reading by David Selby, Saturn Award presented to Mary O'Leary, and much more. And I'm here with one of the fans in attendance. What's your name, sir?
Mark Graham.
Mark Graham is wearing an awesome Reclusive Vampires of Collinsport t-shirt in the style of a famous Monsters of Filmland cover, which is immediately cool and has Barnabas on it. So Mark, tell me, how are you enjoying the experience?
I'm loving it. I never thought I would be able to have this experience, because I started watching the show in 2019, and it was after the festivals, and then COVID came, and I figured they were just over. And so being able to see the actors and be with all the fans it's an incredible experience for me.
It really is. Did you when you went to Greystone yesterday, did you make it to the house?
That one.
Okay, yeah. What's been your favorite thing so far?
I loved hearing David do the reading of Jonathan's letters. He just gave such an energetic reading. It was just so much fun to see him perform.
I agree. That was my favorite thing too. It was very emotional. What is your hope for the future in terms of Dark Shadows events? Now that this has happened, has this kind of maybe re-energized the fan base, do you think?
I think so, and I think that it's going to change as the younger fans sort of take over the helm and reconceptualize what it means to be a Dark Shadows fan. I think there are a lot of things to look forward to. I've been hearing that there's going to be the Night of Dark Shadows films.
Darren Gross, the restored, yes, yeah.
Waiting for years to see.
So have we all.
Coming out. So I think there's always something new in this. It's a world that keeps growing.
Well, Mark, thanks for sitting down with me for a couple of minutes to talk about Dark Shadows Remembrance, and I hope we get to party later on.
Yes, thank you.
I am standing here. It is a mob scene here. There are people lining up for autographs for the Dark Shadows cast. Robert Hoffman is here with me. He's helping out with David Selby, trying to keep the line moving. Robert is a longtime Dark Shadows fan. Robert, tell us a little bit about your background with Dark Shadows, and what do you think of the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend?
My background with Dark Shadows is long-standing. I was one of the original kids who ran home from school. And in fact, I was texted today by the sister of the little girl I used to watch the show with, who had no idea I was at this event. But so I've been coming to the events for years, starting with the original ShadowCons, and then the festivals, of course. And this weekend is somber, but also quite wonderful. It's been emotional and moving to see people again, to meet people like you, Danielle, and also to see new fans, little fans, young fans, like someone in costume. I don't know if you saw him. Yeah, and it was just so touching yesterday, the memorial to Lara, and to hear all the different facets of her life through people who knew her through various avenues. And today is just wonderful, seeing the turnout for the autographs and the tribute to Jonathan, which was very wonderful. And Jim and Mary have put on a wonderful event.
They really have. And I really hope that this invigorates the fan base, and that we have more events, not in terms of memorial events. I hope nobody passes away anytime soon, but in terms of a festival or a celebratory sort of a thing, especially with the 60th anniversary coming up in a couple of years.
Absolutely, and I feel that this proves that people are still turning out, are willing to travel, and in large numbers, and show up to these things. And whatever, the fans are very appreciative. So whatever is presented, they will be, if you build it, they will come. And I think there's always opportunities for new ways to get us together, just to celebrate, because it does go by too quickly. And I think even it doesn't need to even be planned out with wall-to-wall entertainment, wall-to-wall events. I think just having people mingle and talk is a part of the fun.
It really is.
Yes.
Yeah. And we had some of the cast members. We have here Roger Davis, we have David Selby, Catherine Lee Scott, Lisa Richards, Jim Storm, and by video we had Marie Wallace, Donna Wandry, and David Hennessy. That was a surprise, so really cool. So we have, at least, I think there are about 20 of the cast members who are still with us, thankfully, and hopefully, maybe we'll get this happening again and have more of the cast show up, and that would be great, I think.
Yes, and at East Coast events, you can get, easier to get like people like Sharon Smythe and Marie Wallace and Donna Wandry to show up in person. It's just, traveling is hard these days. And, and I know Catherine does those Lyndhurst events occasionally. Sometimes there's events in conjunction with the Sleepy Hollow Film Festival even. So I think there are opportunities, and they don't all have to be festivals. And they don't have to be 3-day events. They could be day and a half events like this. Having it over a holiday weekend is also helpful, and I'm just so glad you turned out, because it was great to finally meet you.
It was great to meet you too, Robert, and thank you for talking with me.
Of course, thank you, Penny.
I felt an ethereal presence approaching me, and I realized it was the Sisters of the Shadows, Cara Tillett and Kristen Pierce.
Hey ladies, how are you?
Oh, we're good. How are you?
Very good.
Danielle, so good to see you.
It's great to see you, the hosts of the acclaimed podcast Between the Shadows. I got a cool magnet, so I'm really excited about that. And so, how are you finding the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend so far?
It is everything we ever dreamed of. I'm glad we did I'm glad we did this. It's been awesome.
Like, we've been talking about doing this for years, and we've been saying it for years, like the next time they do one of these, we're going to be there, and now it's here, and it's a dream come true.
Yep.
Like, it
really
is.
What's been your favorite thing so far at this weekend?
Hearing everybody's stories about why they love Dark Shadows, even the actors. I think it's been amazing hearing their stories and hanging out and getting to meet Penny finally, and getting to meet all these people we've been talking to online, and people who love our show and come and, oh my gosh, I can't, there's no words. There are no words. Yeah.
I'd probably say as well, like, especially with the actors, like hearing like their personal stories, like from Dark Shadows and outside of Dark Shadows. Like, my favorite, I think, was probably Roger Davis, like just hearing like his backstory and like what he's been up to, and
Fall in return. I love it.
Yes, yeah, it was really cool to hear that, and it's great to see the cast reuniting, and it was cool to see some videos, surprises like David Hennessy. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, David Hennessy was a very nice surprise.
Amazing. I love it.
I want to tell Catherine Lee Scott that she should also start her own podcast because she was great at interviewing David Hennessy.
She definitely was.
She was.
She's a professional for sure.
Definitely.
So what are you doing tonight? Are there going to be some partying happening tonight?
Still to be decided. The jury's still out, so
Yeah,
anything
we're
can
going to hang
happen.
out and see what happens.
Awesome, good. Well, I look forward to hanging out later.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
I am here with Don Schmid. How are you, Don?
I'm doing great. It's a little warm, but I'm very happy.
It would be nice if we had a little air conditioning in here.
We're lacking a little air in the lobby, but we're going to muddle through.
Yeah, it's pretty mobbed in here. Where we're standing a little further away, but there are large groups of people that are getting autographs here from the actors. So what has been your experience with the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend thus far?
Well, I think the first thing I'm going to say that's outstanding to me is everybody has been so nice. The fans have been nice. There hasn't been any incidents or drama. To see these characters that I remember on the original run in the late 60s and early 70s, it's kind of emotional.
And it was remarkable to me how Roger Davis just rattled off every character he played in the show, and I wasn't expecting him to remember all the details of that. That was surprising to me.
He just knocked it out of the park, as they say. He has a lot of energy, a great voice. He's so happy to be here. He's thankful for, I think his word, what was his word? He was content, very content and thankful for his life because he had a couple of really bad health scares in the recent past, and he's just so happy. He's on his game.
He really is, yeah. You know, we just had a visit from the Collinsport Fly. Here he is, flying around, a special guest, unannounced guest from the Dark Shadows cast.
Yeah, even the Collinsport Fly showed up.
Amazing. I'm so happy to meet you in person, Don. We've corresponded online a bit, and you always make nice comments with regard to the podcast. So thank you for being a podcast listener. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, and I look forward to all your future shows. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much, Don. Have a great rest of your time here.
You too.
You know her, you love her. It's Nina Ogle, and she's sitting here with me at the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend. Hey, Nina, how are you?
I'm very well, enjoying this very much.
You've been doing a lot of work to help out with this, just as you did at the festivals, too. So what are your feelings with regard to the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend in comparison to the festivals? This is a little bit different vibe, but it has that spirit, right?
It's different in some ways, and yet it is reminiscent of the festivals. It's just so nice to be back in the Dark Shadows fandom, similar to the festivals, and even though we've had events at Seaview, those are so different. This is really wonderful. I'm seeing people that I haven't seen in years, and it's wonderful having the actors here for sure.
Yeah, we have 5 of the actors here, and some who had videos. Yeah. So what has been your favorite part of this weekend?
Oh, just getting back into even though this is not called a festival, it is a festival feeling experience, and that's been the best part, just having that again, because it's been since 2016 since we had this, and just recreating that feeling of the camaraderie and the coming together of the actors and the fans, and seeing people I haven't seen in years, and actors that I haven't seen in years, and I don't know when I'll see them again. So this has just been fabulous, absolutely fabulous.
Great. Do you think that this will reinvigorate this fandom in terms of doing more of this sort of thing again, more events?
I certainly hope so, and I know that at least one actor said, "Why are we not doing festivals? Look at this," you know. So hopefully it will spur, you know, a latent desire to get back to this. You know, I mean, the fans, it's not a latent desire in the fans, but I think it's been, as far as organizing one of these and putting it together, it's been kind of latent the last few years. So, and I'm using that word too much, but hopefully it will inspire something, some sort of it, even if it's not a formal festival event. Hopefully it will inspire something, some kind of gathering, hopefully with some of the actors.
I agree, Nina. I think that would be wonderful. And as I was talking to you about earlier, you know, in 2 years it's going to be the 60th anniversary of Dark Shadows, and what a shame it would be if nothing happened for that.
It would be wonderful if we could do something for the 60th. And I think enough people have come from all over the country to come to this that we've learned that it doesn't have to be in New York, it can be in California. It does have to be in a large city where most of the actors are, you know, because of the expense. But I think one of the either East or West Coast, I think one of the coasts would work, you know.
Thank you so much, Nina, for talking to me. I am sitting here with Saturn Award-winning filmmaker and producer and director Mary O'Leary, who is one of the people, along with Jim Pearson, responsible for putting on the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend. You have heard her in several episodes of Terror at Collinwood. Mary, I want to thank you personally for helping to spearhead this event and put it on. It has been wonderful. It is a magnificent event, and everybody is loving it, so thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so delighted. I've seen such faces of people with just delight in their eyes, and it's a wonderful feeling that it did come off. There was a lot of prep work that went into it. I had a terrific team of 8 volunteers who were just so amazing to me. We had, for example, gift bags, and I said, here's all the items, please put them in 350 bags. And I walked away and they, boom, had it all done. Terrific. It was such an incredible delight for me to see David Selby perform a show that I composed from Jonathan's letters. Basically going through a lot of letters, and particularly during the time period of Dark Shadows, and editing them and creating a script for him that he performed with such amazing heart. That was just the incredible highlight. And then also winning the Saturn Award. It was just an incredible thrill to get contacted by the representatives of the Saturn Award to say that even though the documentary came out a couple of years ago, they wanted to honor it because they thought it was just such a wonderful piece of art. So that they were here and I was presented with this award was just incredibly double thrill of the afternoon. But I've only been hearing wonderful positive comments, so
everybody is so happy. I mean, I smiles all around, and it was such a great idea to have David read those letters from Jonathan. Like I told you before we started recording, there wasn't a dry eye in the house, mine included. It was a very emotional and wonderful and entertaining delivery of those letters.
It really was a walk down memory lane because David is recounting the stories that Jonathan wrote to his mother about, like the time, which I think we're familiar with, the fire in the studio when he was in an scene with Alexandra, and he could see through the doors into the Collinwood set that there was a little fire going on, and to hear now in what he wrote about the panic of like, they're not going to cut, they must hear this even if they can't see it, I'm not going to die for the sake of Dark Shadows. So it was just to see David bring them to life was just terrific, and it was for all of us. You know, we remember perhaps sometimes Jonathan talking about some of these stories or the episodes and when it happened, and it's just so this was just a wonderful event to have as part of this remembrance of Jonathan today. And of course, yesterday was for Lara, and it had a different tone to it. But there were wonderful stories that were shared by not only her co-stars, but some fans that she just gave such heart to people, and that was really lovely. And it was nice to have her family here, Jim Hawkins, her husband, and daughter Katie, and some other members of the family. So that was really great to see them there as well.
It was a wonderful celebration of life for Lara. And Jim Pearson mentioned, the release of Lara's last audiobook of her Heiress of Collinwood novel, and you were there with Lara recording that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It was quite an amazing 7 days. Lara was quite sick at the time. She had been struggling with Parkinson's for over a decade, but also she had cancer in the lining of her lungs, which, if you think about, of course, breathing capacity comes from the lungs. So there was times during the reading that she would needed to take a break, and I would be making tea with Manuka honey, and we would just chat a little bit. And it was just some wonderful stories she shared. She talked about Jonathan was always so humble, and that always amazed her, and that he, and just a giving person. To her, he was an acting teacher. And then she talked about I'm an adoptive mom, and she is to Katie, and we talked about the process and our love for our children. And then there was times she was utterly professional, and there was a day she called me and she was running late. And when she arrived, because Jim, her husband, would drive her, she turned to Jim and said, "You must apologize to Mary for you being us late. We're not supposed to be late." And I thought, see, it's a professional to the T, which is really sweet. The very last, we were supposed to finish a recording on a Wednesday. And I remember she called me Tuesday and said, "Mary, I have to go in tomorrow because they had done some scans and the doctor wants to meet with Jim and I." I said, "All right, well, maybe we'll just push it to Thursday." But I was wondering in the back of my mind, and so I called her Wednesday night, and she said, "Well, I don't know if I can come in Thursday because there were some results we weren't expecting." And she said, "Maybe I'm going to be having some more chemo, and maybe we should wait till after." And I said, "How about Friday?" I said, "We only have about 2 hours of work left to do, then you finish the book." And she said, "Okay, I'll come in Friday." And I could see there was an additional strain, I think also just the mental strain. And I didn't ask her directly about what had happened, but Jim Pearson came in, and Jim Hawkins, who this day waited because it was going to be short, went and talked. And when we got through, I said, "We're all done." And she says, No, we didn't do the introduction." And she said, "No, Mom." And the introduction was really a thank you letter in which she said, "As I wrote this story, I heard the voices of Jonathan Frid, Thayer David," and then she mentioned people like Roy Isbell, who spoke last night. And then she finished. And then when she left, Jim Pearson looked at me and said, "They found cancer elsewhere." And I was then on a trip to New York, during which I was in Tarrytown with Marie and Catherine last October. And then I got the news while I was there. And I wasn't shocked because I saw she was in definitely failing health, but incredibly heartbroken. And I did wonder, what was the last few weeks for her? And then I was very, very blessed that because I had just worked with her, I was invited to the private family service. And her son gave Rick gave a beautiful elegy. And he actually spoke about that when she got that final diagnosis, and they said, "We're going to just do more chemo, more radiation." And she looked and said, "It's been enough." And she died quietly at home a short while later with family by her side. And I know she'd struggled for many, many years. Still came to events as best she could, but it was very I mean, he was just quite amazing because he captured so many essences of his mother. I mean, you could just sort of see he looks like her, and the fact of he talked about her love of poetry and reading, and how as boys he and his brother read these incredible stories, and then she took great interest in nature. She loved nature, and having a horse and all kinds of animals, and there were just so many aspects of her that he just described so beautifully. It was just so eloquent. So it was really wonderful to be able to be there and hear that. And it was in a beautiful outdoor theater in Topanga Canyon where she loved living. And it's a theater founded by actor Will Geer, we know from the Waltons, called the Theatricum Botanicum because it's surrounded by botanical gardens. And it was just an outdoor theater. It was perfect setting because nature. We were in nature, which is what she loved.
Thank you for sharing that. My last question, several people here have been talking about, this is not a festival, this is a Dark Shadows Remembrance event, but their spirit of the festival is certainly present. And we know the 60th, believe it or not, 60th anniversary of Dark Shadows will be coming up in a couple of years. So any chance to think maybe there'll be something else down the road?
Well, right now, I think Jim and I are both exhausted, so we haven't talked about it. I think it would be nice. Again, the question about most of the actors are based on the West Coast, yet many people on social media commented they would love for it to be on the East Coast because, of course, really the Dark Shadows festivals were both coasts. So again, it would be, would the actors be available, and travel would probably be a concern. I mean, there are some actors, of course, Marie Wallace, who gave a wonderful video, is on the East Coast, who's recovering very well from her knee surgery, and Catherine lives both back and forth. Yeah. But we'll see.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mary. It was a pleasure talking to you and seeing you again.
Thank you, Danielle.
I am here at the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend with Mr. Vince Garcia. Hi, Vince. How are you?
Hi, I'm good today. Thank you.
Are you having a good time?
I'm having too much of a good time.
Everybody is having a good time, especially because they're amazed by the incredible prop you brought, the gramophone. It's not the one from the show, but it is exactly like the one from the show. You have Quentin's gramophone.
Well, it is an exact duplicate as the one in the show. So exact, it was painted by the same lady that painted Quentin's back actually in 1906-7, somewhere in there.
Wow. What is some of the history of the gramophone?
Well, actually, gramophone is a disc machine. This is an Edison player, so it's a cylinder.
Okay.
So it's technically not a gramophone, but when they did the one in the show, they picked up an Edison home phonograph circa 1906, put it into 1897, which we can forgive them for. But they had that beautiful red horn, and of course, Thomas Edison invented the phonograph back in 1888 or so. And in that time period, that was pretty much what everyone used, was the cylinder players. A few people used the Victor disc machines, but cylinder players were still the standard for a few more years until people moved over to the 78 RPM records.
I see. And you mentioned the lady who painted the original horn. Who was that?
Well, we don't know who that was, but back then those horns were all hand-painted. So in the factory, you can tell mine is the exact same pattern of horn because the roses are exactly the same, and you can tell they're painted exactly the same style, so you can tell it's the same artist. Because back then they would use ladies to paint them, and that was one of the few jobs ladies could get back then, was something like that. And so if you're trying to duplicate Quentin's machine, what you want to do is you want to get the exact same pattern of horn, which is red with the ring of flowers, and ideally you want to get one where the roses look exactly the same, stylistically the same, and if you can do both of those things, then you know you have an exact duplicate of his horn.
Fantastic. And you got David Selby to sign it, which is the coolest thing. How did he react when he saw that?
Oh, David thought it was cool. He was the nicest guy, too, very approachable, and it was really great meeting him. And I had one of the panels is open. There's nothing on it, so he was able to sign it with a pen. And most people wouldn't want to do that to an antique, but for purposes of this, that was just great for me.
Yeah. My friend Madeline, who's been on the podcast, also has a phonograph and had a wax cylinder made of Quentin's theme. Do you have one as well?
Yeah, there's a guy named Ben who makes those, and up until 2 days ago, mine would play it, except the spring broke, so it won't play it now. But yes, there are a few of those floating around. You used to be able to get them on eBay. Ben hasn't put any up lately, but every so often he'll put a few of those up when he makes them.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me, Vince. I hope that you continue to have a good time this weekend. This is a really special event, and it's great to meet you.
Well, thank you for talking to me. If we do it again, I'll try to bring the machine down, and maybe it'll be working next time.
I am here with the man, the myth, the legend, Patrick McCrae. Patrick, my goodness, what a pleasure to see you again, first of all. Here at the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend, everybody's walking around with a smile on their face. They're all having a good time. How about you? How are you feeling today?
I'm cool as a cucumber. I'm having a great time. This has been a lot of fun. This is really the first Dark Shadows event I've gone to with the books and with crowds and fans, and people have read the books and they love them, and that's been incredibly heartening.
How could they not love them? You have the Dark Shadows Daybook, Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound. Wonderful books, cool things coming up
Kindle,
too.
Audible, yeah, I've got a lot of cool things coming up. I'm working on a book about watching Dark Shadows, about different ways that people who are new to Dark Shadows can appreciate it. And if you have friends or family members who you want to get into Dark Shadows, I've got a guide, I got a map, I got a plan.
There we go. I can't wait for that. So what's going on tonight?
There's some Night of Dark Shadows, I think, going on. There's probably some hookah. Tobacco going on someplace else, and with probably prominent podcasters here and there. I'm looking at two of them right now. I know.
Alan, I can't. Oh, there he is, right there.
Alan Goan.
All right, we're going to get
that in a rug, and yet I have other tasks to do, and so I'm a man of action, a man of adventure, a man of the shadows.
Okay. Thanks, Patrick. I am here with D.S. May Collins, a.k.a. Susie. Hi, D.S. May Collins, a.k.a. Susie. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excellent. Are you having a good time here at the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend?
I am having a blast. It's been so lovely seeing everybody, and everybody looks amazing. Everybody's got such wonderful energy, and it's great meeting all of you guys, because I've been a fan of your podcast, of everybody's podcast. Wish Jewel could have been here. He's missed. But yeah, it's been wonderful. I'm so grateful to be a part of this. It's just been lovely.
Wonderful. Oh, that's great. What's your favorite thing so far about this weekend?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess it would be meeting David Selby. That was my thing. I brought my little snow globe that he autographed for me. So yeah, that's been my highlight.
Yeah, he is such a sweet person, like a genuinely nice person, isn't he?
No, and I love the stories that they told last night and then today as well. Just it's lovely.
All very touching. Of course, about Lara, and today about Jonathan. I mean, just so cool. It's just been a pleasure. Great. Well, thank you so much, Susie. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's been a pleasure. It's so lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. I am here with two legendary Dark Shadows fans, Beth Castor and Joe Flanagan. I'm so happy to see you both. How are you feeling about the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend?
I'm having a great time. It's been just wonderful to get back to Dark Shadows festivals after several years, since the 50th.
Wonderful. And how about you, Joe?
I've had a great time. Always seeing the actors, but also reconnecting with people that have become my family, fans and other people that I've gotten to know. And I also had something very interesting happen that I was able to make a fan who's never been to a festival before, and I won't go into any more details than that, actually be able to talk to someone that they've loved for years. And he actually took a phone call. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great. What's your favorite part of this weekend? Is it reconnecting with people, seeing the actors again? Thoughts on that?
Pretty much everything you just said, because I always enjoy seeing my Dark Shadows family, and then I also, of course, enjoy seeing the actors and how they're doing and things. So, yeah.
What about you, Joe?
One of the things that's really important to me is I've come to just totally respect Mary O'Leary. She all the things that she's done in her life, and now she's getting the accolades. Well, she got them before as, an Emmy, nominations and awards. But now she's getting all the accolades that she deserves for that documentary.
Saturn Award, wow.
Yeah, Saturn Award and, like 28 awards other than that. And that's great to see. And it happens, with everything else. Even the Big Finish audios have gotten awards. Yeah. That some people didn't even know. Donna McKechnie, I contacted her and congratulated her for the Eternal Actress winning an award, and she wasn't even aware of it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Huh. She replied to you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
Every once in a while, I'm friends with her on Facebook. I don't bother her a lot, but I'll wish her a happy birthday, or when she loses somebody that I know was very important to her in the music field, like Marvin Hamlish or Stephen Sondheim. Yeah. And, she told me one time, she said, I really appreciate the fact that you keep up with me. And I said, the one thing I wish is that I had been older and wiser and been able to see you in person, in company. And
she's in Wicked right now, though.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't even aware of that.
Well, I think I don't know if they've started yet, but I believe she's in Wicked.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. But even Hullabaloo. I mean, I watch that now, and I'm blown away with how talented she was as a dancer.
Yeah. Last question. What do you think about future Dark Shadows events? Do you think that this will kind of reinvigorate the fan community and the powers that be to kind of do more events?
We were just talking about that, and I said I really hope that this will inspire somebody to kind of get something else going in the future, in the near future too.
Yeah. So especially with the 60th anniversary coming up in a couple of years.
For sure.
That would be really nice, but I understand how taxing it is, really on these actors as they've gotten older, and expect, everyone to get an autograph. What I would hope that they would do is they would ask people that have been here before, that have gotten autographs, to please let the people that have never been to one before get in line and let them to sign it, because it's just too much. I mean, David was exhausted, and I remember, Joan Bennett back when she was 85 signing for 9 hours. Wow. So it's tough. And in 2016, I went up to both Nancy Barrett and Lara Parker at the very end, and I wanted to show them something, and both of them grabbed my hand, and both their hands were shaking, and they said, Joe, we are so tired, we can't look at one more thing, we apologize. Yeah. And I understood.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and people have to be respectful of that and understanding. I think maybe doing a shorter visit from the actors, maybe like a half day, have a panel with them, then do a signing. And I like your suggestion of, if you already have their autographs, let people who don't have them. That will be less taxing, I think, for the actors, not having maybe a full day for them, just maybe like part of a day, or not the whole weekend, maybe just one day for the actors and one day for fan programming or something like that.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Hopefully there will be more. But thank you to both of you for talking to me.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
I am sitting here with the one and only Stuart Manning, mastermind behind Daytime Gothic, Big Finish Audio's Dark Shadows news page, and much more. Stuart, how are you today?
I'm very well. It's been a ride.
You had a long flight from the UK, huh?
I did, yes, but worth the flight.
Yes. So what do you think of the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend?
Well, it's interesting. For me, it's been 12 years, so it's a sort of long hiatus. But Lara Parker, not wanting to name drop, used to use this phrase that time accordions up. And yeah, so it feels like, in some ways it feels like forever, in some ways it feels like none of us have been apart.
Friday was the celebration of life for Lara Parker, and I know you were close with Lara. How did you feel about the celebration?
Well, with Lara still feels very present tense. She doesn't feel like she's really gone anywhere. I still, every once in a while, think I might see an email might pop out from her, or a Facebook post or something. So, it's a bittersweet reason for us all to get back together after some years. But also, I think it was very nice to see so much love for her, and it's just there's a sort of beaming radiance about Lara. I can she had incredible warmth and incredible humor, and she was spiky, and she was mischievous, and she was really one of my favorite people. And yeah, I really loved her.
The second issue of Daytime Gothic is coming. You gave me a little sneak peek here, and Lara is very present in issue 2. Can we get a little insight into what's coming up in issue 2 of Daytime Gothic?
Yes, well, as I think I said on your podcast last time, there was a feature I had wanted to make happen, and I thought that was a good enough reason to do a second issue, and well, it's no longer such a, after my faux enigmatic hints last time, yeah, it's not so much of a secret that feature was for Catherine and Lara to interview one another. And they both did it with gusto, and in Lara's case, and I suppose in Catherine's case too, with some knowledge that it would probably be Lara's final word. And I think it's really an extraordinary piece. It's a really brilliant piece of long-form journalism that I think is the best thing Catherine's ever written. It should be in something far better than a Dark Shadows fanzine, but I think you'll see Lara in Lara and Catherine. I think you'll see a sort of depth and an honesty about both of them, and the whole Dark Shadows experience, and the richness of a 50-plus year friendship, with some really beautiful pictures of the pair of them. There's Jim Storm took some, and his wife Valerie did our sort of Vanity Fair with blue candles photo shoot. So it's a little bittersweet. It was always going to be the lead star feature, and it still is in a slightly different way from maybe how it was conceived. But I'm as a sort of little gift from Lara from the hereafter, I hope people will enjoy hanging out with her and Catherine, listening to old gals gossip.
Yeah, I love it. Now, today, we're here Saturday as of this recording, and it was a little bit more of a festival vibe to it. I think it was, the Jonathan Frid centenary. We had Q&As and things like that. So what did you think about today's festivities?
It's kind of interesting. Again, it's a sort of very mixed emotions, because we haven't done a gathering. I didn't do anything, but collectively we've not gathered this way in a very long time. I think also, without being morbid, and we're here in remembrance, there is a sort of cognizance that we are. The long journey Dark Shadows has been for all of us as viewers, as people who made it. It's been an interesting sort of symbiotic relationship, and I think, I don't want to say we're at the finish line, but I think we are, we're within the next decade on the cusp of mortality, and so I think there's a real feeling that we should cherish these people while they're here and show them the love, and I don't think people have to be sort of cool or flip about it. And I think that's true of the actors too. I think particularly Catherine, particularly Catherine Lee Scott, particularly David Selby. I think you can see a sort of, even Jim Storm, really all of them. I think you can see a sort of beaming gratitude. I don't want to sound too sort of happy clappy and evangelistic about it, but I think that's. There is, it's a love in. It does feel, it feels there's actually something very therapeutic and very heartwarming.
It's a very positive feeling, and everyone I've talked to feels that way, and I think although this is not a festival, I'd like to see something for the 60th anniversary of the show, maybe half a day for the actors, and kind of have them come in and say hello, but not put too much on them. But I think it would be nice to have a 60th anniversary gathering.
Well, 60 is a hell of a milestone. It's an extraordinary milestone, and again, it will be really the last big anniversary where we have, there will be a critical mass of contributors. We don't have as many as we did, but we still have, there's a decent number. And it'd be lovely to mark that in some way, and I think it'd be really nice if, someone who's done my fair share of things over the years to extend the fiction, or to sort of try and make Dark Shadows present tense, not a thing of the past. I'd hope there's some sort of component to however the 60th is marked that is looking forward, not rather than just looking exclusively back. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't either, but I do hope.
You tell me.
Well, we'll talk later. I don't know. Mary O'Leary and Jim Pearson. Jim Pearson ran the festivals for years. Mary O'Leary did a really nice job, organizing this with Jim. They seem to make a good team putting this on, I think.
I absolutely, and I think, as I think I said on your podcast in the past, we're at the stage where this is. I think when I spoke before, I said I suspect this will be a grassroots fandom from now on. Actually, I think it is now. I think you've got your podcast. There's if it's me doing fanzines, if it's any number of other things. Someone just came up to us with a tarot card deck. But I think we are in a world where you can be your own. You can be your own manufacturer. You can be your own distributor. You can put your creativity and expression out there. The platform's the easy part. So I think that is, even if there isn't official things, I think it bounces right back to you, me, or anyone else who feels creative, feels sparky, and wants to celebrate.
And I think that's important for anyone who's listening. If you have some creative drive and you're a Dark Shadows fan, put your creativity to good use and do something with Dark Shadows.
And that's interesting. That's sort of been a common thread. I know several of the actors comment on it. This idea of the show having inspired creativity in lots of people. And as I get older and more cantankerous, I realise, I've said it before. I said it before somewhere, I can't remember where, but making fanzines was one of the best things I ever did with my time. It may not seem like that when it was, but truly, there's friendships that last almost 30 years. There's, it gave me a career. It gave me lots of things that is just lovely, and it's so rare. I mean, people watch TV shows and they get under their skin all the time, but I mean, so many of us have been repaid. Our love for this thing has been repaid, and that just doesn't happen. Yeah. And so, again, I think in the past, lots of people, myself included, might have been a bit more glib or self-effacing, but generally, many good things in my life I can trace back to Dark Shadows.
Well, Stuart, thank you for sitting down with me and talking a little bit. I look forward to getting together tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to Daytime Gothic. I'm very excited about it, and I will definitely get the word out when that's ready for pre-orders.
Yeah, thank you. Bride of Daytime Gothic, look out for it.
I am here with the Rondo Award nominated writer Amanda Desiree, who is going to be doing some signings soon at Barnes & Noble. You did one at Barnes & Noble recently. I was excited to see that, and she's been on the podcast twice. How are you, Amanda?
I'm doing well. I'm thrilled to be here with my Dark Shadows friends again after so many years.
It's a pleasure to see you again. How do you feel about this whole Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend? What's your takeaway?
Well, first of all, it's such a relief to have an event again, and especially to have one in California. The final festivals were always in Tarrytown, which I had to travel to, and this is practically in my backyard, so it's much nicer to be closer to home. It's been a mixed blessing. Most of all, I'm so happy to see my friends again and to be back in a convention setting. But it is also a bit sad because we're here to honor Lara's memory and Jonathan's memory. And also, we don't know if this is the final Dark Shadows event that we'll ever have, or if this is a sign that they're testing the waters to see if there still is interest. This has been a very well-attended event. I understand that the banquet sold out for Saturday. We had 350 people, and this is a holiday weekend, so a lot of people even traveled from out of state to attend here. That shows a lot of devotion and a lot of interest in events. I know a lot of people are hoping that if this goes well, and I think it has, that there might be more activities, possibly on the East Coast again, or possibly in a couple of years when the 60th anniversary comes around. I would definitely be up for any of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we have to have something for the 60th anniversary of Dark Shadows. It's essential. How sad would it be if nothing happened for that, right?
Absolutely. I was even hoping for something during the 55th anniversary, although there were still a lot of COVID restrictions then, which might have mitigated against the possibility of having an event. But things seem to be going well now, and I think there's a lot of enthusiasm for a 60th anniversary event. Seeing some new people step up to organize the convention. A lot of this was put together by Mary O'Leary, who created the documentary about Jonathan Frid that we're here to celebrate. She did a beautiful job, and Jim, of course, is also involved. He's also done a great job. So if the two of them come back on board, or even if they bring in other organizers to help them, I think they could put together an event that people would love to have.
Absolutely agree with you. Jim and Mary made a great team for this, I think. And even if Jim ran the festival for many years. If he decided to pass the torch to Mary, I think she would do an incredible job. She's so well organized, and it was wonderful.
Yes, we've even had a new crop of volunteers come along. Unfortunately, some of our long-time volunteers from the festivals, like Ann Wilson and Marcy Robin, passed away recently. But Patty Carapiner stepped up, and she's been heavily involved in the volunteering. I even pitched in this morning and helped deliver gift baskets for the banquet that we had. I see a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of love for the show, and I think people will step up if that's what it takes to put together one of these events.
What was your favorite thing today? There was a series of things that happened up on stage. What was your favorite?
Hearing the actors share their memories is always fun. I was thrilled to have the actors who are here talking about their memories of Jonathan, but it was also so nice to see Marie Wallace again in her recorded interviews. She looked radiant. She told a beautiful story about working together with Jonathan Frid in The Lion in Winter, and she even recited a monologue that she performed as Eleanor of Aquitaine, which was his favorite monologue from the show, and she used that monologue to send a wonderful message about the importance of kindness and love, especially nowadays. I think that was a beautiful tribute to Jonathan and to their shared memory of putting that show together.
I agree with you. That was beautiful. And gosh, I'm so glad she submitted that video. So thank you so much, Amanda, for sitting down with me to chat. I appreciate it. It's great seeing you again, and we're going to have some more fun tonight. I can feel it coming. Good times ahead.
Absolutely. Hopefully we might get another musical interlude from Michael Culhane. He was performing in the lobby last night, and Jim Storm was looking on appreciatively.
Oh, great. Hey, maybe they'll team up. Maybe they'll do a duet.
Absolutely. Two great performers, two Dark Shadows people. What's not to love?
Exactly. Awesome. I am standing here with the punk rock legend Mikey Plague, who just won possibly one of the coolest items in the Dark Shadows auction, and we're going to talk about that in a second. How are you, Mikey?
I'm doing okay.
Hey, Mikey, so you're here at Dark Shadows Remembrance. You came all the way from New York out here. What do you think of the event?
Oh, the event's great. I mean, considering there hasn't been like a festival in 8 years, I guess, but it definitely has the feel of the old festivals, which is great, and it's just great seeing all the people that have come out to honor Lara and Jonathan Frid, and it's a lot of fun, you know. Anyone that's a Dark Shadows fan, I hope you made it, and if you didn't, try to watch it if somebody posts some of the events that have been going on, because it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. And you won something really cool here. Can you talk about what it is?
Yeah, what this is there was an auction, you know, just general collectibles. Jim Pearson put that on. And there was a lot of cool different stuff, Dark Shadows scripts from the show, from Dan Curtis's office, etc. But the piece that caught my eye as a big comic book fan is there was one piece of original comic book art from Gold Key, the Gold Key Dark Shadows comics. I think it's issue number 35. Is it 35?
I think it's the final issue.
I'm not, you know.
Yes, it is, yeah.
That's what I thought, yeah. And it's Joe Certa art. Line art. It's cool because, you know, first of all, the Gold Key art, it's hard to find any of it outside of the George Wilson paintings. Those are around. They're not cheap, and you're not going to see them every day, but you can, if you look enough, or if you find somebody that wants to sell them, they're out there. Joe Certa, however, he did most of the interior art, I think probably all of it, and his art is very rare. I've not seen any interiors. I've been collecting for decades. So that's hard to get. So really, the only way to get his line art, he did line art only on like the last few covers, maybe the last 5 covers or whatever it was. And I have one already at home, and this is the second one. And I don't know if there's more. Actually, there was one other one that came up for auction years ago. That's an unpublished one. It was like some kind of an Aztec God story. It's cool. Look, it's weird. I don't know if there was interior to go with it, but there was definitely, at least the cover was done. And I wasn't around when that went up, or I would have obviously tried to get that for my collection. But yeah, that's pretty
Cool.
much.
Congratulations on winning that. That's really cool. Thanks, Mike. Great talk.
Same here.
I am here outside of the Pasadena room with Moonsim, aka Annie from the Dark Shadows Discord. How are you, Annie?
I'm good.
So this is your first, you've been to the Seaview Terrace event, but this is your first large Dark Shadows gathering event. So what do you think of this Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend, I guess, in contrast to the Seaview Terrace events? What is the difference? What do you think?
Oh my goodness, I was just so many times here. I was just completely overwhelmed. I got into the show in 2021, so I was not lucky enough to even know the festivals were happening when they were, much less go to any. But I heard this was happening, and I kind of jumped at the chance. I didn't think I'd be able to go, but I jumped at the chance, and I'd been to the Seaview things. Don't ask me how that happened. It's one thing led to another very fast, and next thing I knew, I was able to go. But I will say the Seaview thing is more low key, but I think that's just because the times I've been there, the actors have not been there, and the actors were here today, and I was kind of freaking out because it's like you see them so much on the screen, and then it's like it's just kind of, you're honored to just be in their presence. You know how talented they all are, and it's just such a treat to be able to see them and just be like thank you. And even though you're just like one of the many people that have said thank you, it's still nice to be able to actually see them. And it was great. Again, I got overwhelmed several times.
I think it's like the Seaview events are like Thanksgiving dinner, and Dark Shadows Remembrance or the festival is like everybody in your family ever reunion, like a big giant family reunion versus a more cozy reunion.
Big family reunion versus like a Thanksgiving dinner where everybody kind of ends up going off in their little groups. Like the kids, which is me and the other Discord members, hanging around somewhere. Everybody breaking off, talking about what's been up with since the last thing. But this is like the big giant family reunion that happened. That people you've never met or you've only heard of, are here too, and you're like, oh, hey, I didn't know that's who that was.
It's great seeing you again. I'm so glad you came out here.
It's great seeing you.
Great seeing you. I am sitting here with the wonderful Tweety Jackie Blackburn, who you heard in the episode where we discussed Clarice Blackburn and had a wonderful time. How are you today, Tweety?
I'm doing good, a little tired, there's been so many activities going on, but I love every minute of it.
Yeah. What was your favorite part this weekend?
My favorite part this weekend, I must say, it was when Roger Davis got up and started talking about Lara. And that just made my heart just kind of, it was, my chest was starting to hurt. That really, it didn't get to me, but it just made me, I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It was a really definitive moment for all of us because she's no longer here.
Yeah.
She was my favorite character.
I know.
She was my favorite, her and Clarice Blackburn.
Yeah.
And I guess I love the underdog, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just wonderful.
Yeah. What did you think about today, the events that happened today?
Oh, just everything was just amazing, seeing everybody getting together and getting along with each other, people recognizing me like I'm a movie star, so there's Tweety, oh my God, so it felt good, it felt good, and to represent the group and all that. But I've had a great time. I've never been to a festival before, but a lot of people said it brought back memories of the festivals, they had back in the day. And I just hope we can do this again.
I hope so too.
We're not on such a sad circumstances, of Laura's passing, which, people are still trying to realize that she's gone, because I just,
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully next year it'll be more of a celebratory event. And of course, I've been talking to everybody about 2 years from now. It's going to be the 60th anniversary of the show.
We got to do something. 60th. Oh. Yes, we do.
Absolutely. Well, Jackie, it's great talking to you. Great seeing you again, and I hope to see you at Seaview. I'll see you there, I'm sure, the next time that happens.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there with bells on.
Wonderful. Mary O'Leary just did a Q&A after her screening of Dark Shadows and Beyond, the Jonathan Frid story, and I was looking for this wonderful individual earlier, Patty Karapinar. You saw her beautiful Julia Hoffman medallion that she so kindly gifted me with and sent it to me. I showed it off in the video version of the podcast. Oh.
We plan to show House of Dark Shadows. Does anybody still want to see the movie? Because we'll show the movie. Okay, just checking.
They're going to show House of Dark Shadows. But before they do that, Patty, how are you this evening?
I'm great, thank you. This has just been a fabulous couple of days.
Yeah, you helped put this. You were a part of the process of putting this on, weren't you?
I did help Mary O'Leary out with, yeah.
What was your role in doing this?
Okay. I did the brochures. I laid out the brochures, and I just helped create the Eventbrite event page and kept track of attendees and, this kind of secretarial kind of stuff. So it was a thrill to help Mary.
She is, and thank you for helping and doing that, because that's a big job. So thank you for doing that. What was your favorite part of this weekend?
I think my favorite part was listening to David Selby read some of Jonathan's letters, because I had looked at Mary's script ahead of time. I had read some of the letters, and they're so heartwarming and so amusing. He just wrote these incredibly wonderful letters to his parents, but David just brought them alive in an incredible way and made the funny things that Jonathan said so incredibly funny. Yes. That he just did a fabulous job.
He really did. I think that was my favorite part too. So thank you, Patty, and it's great seeing you.
Wonderful seeing you. Thanks so much.
You've heard him on the podcast. Joe Escobar is here with me. Joe, what did you think of the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend?
It was a great time, and I really enjoyed just catching up with people, both the celebrities and friends that I've not seen in almost a decade.
Wasn't it great? We're here. It's kind of late now. I'm running on fumes. I know. Well, they're going to be showing House of Dark Shadows. Are you going to stick around for that?
Oh, I might, but no, I don't think so. Actually, I'd rather hang out with friends than to watch a movie that I have in my own collection.
Yeah. Okay, great. Do you think they'll do more of these events? Do you think that the fandom has kind of been reinvigorated by this?
I hope so. I think it really depends upon the organizers. Are they up for doing another one? I think the stars are okay with coming out and doing more of these.
Yeah, they seem enthusiastic about it, so let's hope so. All right, Joe, thank you.
You're very welcome.
I am here with the one and only Guy Haynes, legendary Dark Shadows fan, longtime Dark Shadows fan, passionate Dark Shadows fan, my friend Guy Haynes. Guy, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm a little tired, but I'm just so excited to be here and to see everyone together again. How are you feeling about this Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend, Guy?
Great. By the way, if I answer, it looks like they're getting ready to start House of Dark Shadows. So,
Guy, what do you think about Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend?
Oh, mixed emotions. It was wonderful to see old friends, but very sad that many people, including friends and the actors, are missing, sadly.
Yes. Yeah, but I'm grateful for the fact that we had 5 of the original cast members here, which was really nice, and some videos from Marie Wallace, Donna Wandry, and an unexpected one from David Hennessy, which was really fun.
Yes, that really surprised me.
Yeah, that was exciting. So what was your favorite part about this weekend, Guy?
Well, one of them was seeing David Hennessy, and I have to say though, my favorite part of the weekend were the remembrances from the actors.
Yeah.
They stirred the emotions. They really did, and they were so heartfelt. They really miss Lara, and they really miss Jonathan, and it was brought many people to tears.
It really did. I know this was, a memorial event for Lara Parker and a centenary for Jonathan Frid, so it wasn't exactly a festival, but it definitely had that spirit, I think, of the festivals. Do you think that, given that this was such a successful event, a lot of people showed up for this, do you think that the organizers might be inspired to continue doing more such events?
Oh, I think they are. I think they will. Dark Shadows festivals will never die. They say Dark Shadows will never die. Dark Shadows festivals will never die. Actually, I do believe there will be an event on the East Coast sometime in the near future. It won't be called a festival, but I do believe that will happen.
Inside information. Well, that's exciting to hear. I keep talking to everyone about the 60th anniversary in 2 years, so for sure we've got to have something for that, right?
Yes, and it was my goal to introduce you to Jim Pearson this weekend. Did you by any chance get to speak to him?
I did. John Logan and I cornered Jim Pearson. And we went over to talk. No, actually, I shouldn't say that. Ansel Faraj went over and introduced us. I had met Jim briefly at one of the festivals in passing very quickly, and then I met him briefly here because he was very busy and he was on the run, and I said hi. But I did get to chat with him a little bit, and as I was talking to him, John Logan said, "You got to be on Penny Dreadful's podcast." Then Catherine Lee Scott ran over and said, "You have to be on her podcast."
Yes.
So no pressure, Jim, but the door is open. You are welcome. And he said, "You know how to get in touch with me." So we will see. If that happens, what I might do is solicit questions from the fan community and put together a list of questions to ask Jim. What do you think about that, guys? Do you think that's a good idea?
I think you need to solicit questions from the old fan community, especially those of us that have been on the festival committee for 40 years.
Okay, you get dibs, priority. Yes, absolutely. All right, Guy, well, it's great talking to you. Are you going to go in and watch House of Dark Shadows?
Yes.
All right, wonderful.
And Jim, if you're out there, the first thing I'm going to say when we speak on the phone next is you need to be on Penny Dreadful's show, and don't sweat it. It won't be bad.
It won't. I'm a very friendly hostess, I promise you, Jim. I won't ask any embarrassing questions. Not many. No. I am here with Amy Weingartner and Michael Culhane. We're enjoying the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend. How are you both doing?
Excellent, very well.
It's great. It's great to be with everyone.
Now, tell me about the Creepy Boppers, Michael. Tell me about the Newsweek art. Talk to me about that.
Well, I would love to. The short version would be that my dad coined the phrase creepy boppers to describe those of us that ran home from school to watch Dark Shadows, because it was not intended for school children originally, so this was a phenomenon within a phenomenon, at least one layer in there. And because he was a behind the scenes, he was the first media editor of Newsweek, and this was kind of new to have media covering itself. So he proposed to them Dark Shadows for me, and they said, well, we've done Dark Shadows, and it was mentioned today, early Newsweek piece. But he said, but have you done Why Do School Kids Watch It? And I said, no, we haven't. You got the assignment. So that was his assignment, was to draw that out.
Yeah.
And that gave me an excuse
And Michael's
to be there for research.
Michael's grandmother's assignment was to make capes for Michael and his brother, who was only 10 months younger, and they got to go on the set and meet Jonathan and wear capes. And
there's a picture on this beautiful CD here.
By Circus Guy, yes.
The Lovely Luna. Talk to me about this CD.
The Lovely Luna is my debut CD by my band Circus Guy. It's a New York rock and roll band, loud guitars and lots of melodies. And I wrote it down. It is my song about keeping a journal in third grade that was full of Dark Shadows names and characters. And Catherine Lee Scott's memoirs inspired me to get involved in Dark Shadows fandom. I had been as a child, but it wasn't something I considered as an adult. And I saw the substance in her writing and eventually the other actors. And I was drawn to what's going on here, and when the tapes started coming out and so forth. And she said, could you could find your notes, from when you were a kid, and if you have a photo? I found the photo with my third grade report card of myself as a 9-year-old with fangs, plastic fangs, playing with Jonathan Frid with his.
I'm in the video version of the podcast. They were kind enough to give me a copy of this CD, so I'm going to put a picture up of the CD. Is this still available?
We're going to reprint it. It's out of print. So if you can find The Lovely Luna by Circus Guy, lucky you. It's available digitally in all the services that you listen to your music on, so please look for it. But if we can, we'll reprint it. There's lyrics in the record, and the lyrics are about the joy of discovering. You write something down in your own handwriting as a child, then you discover it as an adult, and it's like a connection with yourself. I was like reaching across time, befriending myself. And finding these enthusiasms had lasted, even if they lay dormant for a while, and were still inside me. And all these actors turned out to be inspiring mentors as adults, and great memoir writers, and interesting public speakers. And so I got involved as a volunteer.
And that's what got me in, because I was a writer, and I was actually getting my MFA in fiction around the time we were going to these festivals, and I hadn't grown up watching it because I was afraid of the show when I was a kid. So Michael got me into it, and then I was so impressed with all these actors that had written memoirs, and David Selby was writing poetry. Michael got that piece in Catherine's DS Almanac.
The Dark Shadows
and
Almanac.
so I'm thrilled that we were able to be in, Bob and Jeff's book as fans writing pieces just now. So
this new book,
new book that's come out with Shadows of the Past, too.
The sequel.
So it's exciting for me, the whole writing aspect of all this and all the storytelling is fantastic.
Yeah, wonderful. What was your favorite part about this weekend?
For me, it was hearing David Selby, speaking of storytelling, telling Jonathan stories of his letters home. It was incredible. His performance and the material of Jonathan's letters was so moving.
Agreed.
It answered so many questions I've always had for Jonathan Frid. Did he enjoy what he was doing? Sounds like he did. He wrote to his family that he did. Did he find the character challenging and exciting? It sounds like he did. Was being famous an adventure, and was he proud of making Barnabas a cultural icon? He was. To hear it in his own words, bragging to his family, and also being self-deprecating to his family.
And getting them excited. I mean, I grew up in Rochester, New York, so to hear him say to his parents, go to Rochester and then tell them the ABC affiliate and find out the timing and see if you can watch it. I love that.
It did air in some parts of Canada, like near the border, I think, but not. It didn't.
Rochester's right across the lake here. Yeah.
Sadly, not Buffalo, I guess, at that time. I think later there was some controversy about Buffalo and the werewolf.
Oh, yes. Yes, there was. Yep.
Violence, but on TV. But it's a good show.
Yes, wonderful. Well, thank you both. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for the CD. I look forward to checking it out, and enjoy the rest of your time here.
Thanks.
The screening of House of Dark Shadows is currently happening, but I'm standing outside the screening room with Goan Martin, a longtime Dark Shadows fan. Goan, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Did I pronounce your name correctly this time?
Absolutely. I'm the third and the last Goan, so absolutely you did really well.
Okay, good. Whew. How do you feel about the Dark Shadows Remembrance Weekend, Goan?
It was amazing. It was great seeing all the stars, and I feel like the one thing that I really picked up from the whole remembrance ceremony is it was like a family. That the stars treated you great, the people in the audience were just amazing, and we all just had a wonderful time together.
How did you first discover Dark Shadows?
Probably around 6 years old, and was watching in front of the TV, like peeking in at first, seeing a werewolf and a vampire, and actually the scariest person on Dark Shadows to me was Angelique.
Oh, yeah, she was scary, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been following ever since religiously, and have ordered so many things that I wish I could order, like all the things that I really want. And I was asking people today, like, what is your kind of
Holy Grail item?
That's exactly what I said. I couldn't think of the words. Yes, and no one really had an answer to that. And I don't even know. They asked me.
I do.
What do you want?
The Ben Cooper, Barnabas Collins Halloween costume.
That would be amazing. Yes, absolutely. I've had all the things that you can order, but that you can't even think about getting, or even a complete Dark Shadows game with fangs, unwrapped, But
sealed oh yes, another one I'd love to get is the horror head pillows. Those are extremely rare, and the watch, the Dark Shadows wristwatch that glowed in the dark. That's super rare, collectible. Those are like impossible to get.
I have the Dark Shadows watches from the '91 series.
I remember I had those too. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're in a box somewhere, but they're not the same as that glow in the dark box. Yeah.
Cool to get that. Well, awesome. I hope that we see more of these kinds of things happening again. I know, the 2016 festival was the last festival, and then COVID happened, so that kind of made it difficult to do anything. But hopefully, we can see more of these events in the future.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Daniel, for keeping Dark Shadows alive, because I think we need more of that from a lot of different people. But you doing your podcast, I think it's growing and it's reaching many fans. And if you reach these fans, hopefully there can be a lot of resurgence. If we get more people excited, I think we'll see more Dark Shadows.
I hope so. And I've always put out the call. If you have some creative skill and creative drive and you're passionate about Dark Shadows, turn that into something. Like put that out there and help get the word out about Dark Shadows, because we want to keep the candles burning at the old house, right, Govan?
Absolutely. And you're one of the main people doing that. So thank you for all that you do for Dark Shadows.
Thank you.
And for as long as they lived, the Dark Shadows never truly vanished, for there will always be terror at Collinwood. Terror at Collinwood is a Penny Dreadful production.